Understanding the gold standard and its origins. The gold standard is a monetary system in which a country's currency is directly linked to a specific amount of gold. Under this system, governments were required to hold gold reserves equal to the amount of money in circulation, ensuring the currency's value was tied to gold. How the gold standard worked. Under the gold standard, people could exchange their paper money for a fixed amount of gold. This system provided stability by limiting the amount of money that could be printed, thus controlling inflation. Countries had to maintain sufficient gold reserves to back their currency. Advantages of the gold standard. The primary advantage of the gold standard was its ability to control inflation. Because the supply of gold is limited, it prevents governments from printing excessive amounts of money. This led to long-term price stability and fostered confidence in the currency. Why we abandoned the gold standard. The gold standard was abandoned for several reasons, particularly during times of economic crisis. One key issue was that it restricted governments' ability to adjust their money supply during recessions. Without the flexibility to print more money, countries faced difficulties in responding to financial crises. The Great Depression and the gold standard. During the Great Depression in the 1930s, many countries faced severe economic downturns. The gold standard made it difficult to stimulate economic growth by increasing the money supply, leading to higher unemployment and deflation. In response, countries began to abandon the system. The shift to fiat currency. Fiat money, which is currency not backed by a physical commodity like gold, became the norm after the gold standard was abandoned. Unlike gold-backed money, fiat money derives its value from the trust people have in the government that issues it. This gave governments more control over their economies. The Bretton Woods system and its collapse. After World War II, the Bretton Woods system was established, where currencies were pegged to the US dollar, which was still backed by gold. However, as global trade and the US economy grew, the gold reserves could not keep up with the demand for dollars, leading President Nixon to suspend gold convertibility in 1971. The role of inflation and currency control. One of the key reasons for abandoning the gold standard was the need for better control over inflation. Without a fixed supply of gold, central banks could adjust the money supply to address economic conditions, such as inflation or deflation, more effectively. The impact of abandoning the gold standard. Since the gold standard was abandoned, economies have experienced greater monetary flexibility. Central banks now use tools such as interest rates and quantitative easing to manage inflation and stabilize economies. However, some argue that this flexibility can lead to unchecked inflation and currency devaluation. Why the gold standard matters today. While the gold standard is no longer in use, its legacy continues to influence discussions about economic stability. Some people advocate for a return to the gold standard, believing it would limit government spending and protect against inflation. However, most economists argue that modern fiat currencies offer greater flexibility and stability in today's global economy.